Hey friends, today on Gardening with Creekside, we're going to take a garden tour of the Berm. Here it is, middle of July, and everything is looking fantastic. Cannot wait to give you an update on how everything is doing, because you have been with us throughout this whole project. Starting, I think it was in October last year is when we began the construction on this whole big flower bed. So if you're not familiar with this Berm project, we installed you want to say like a slash display garden slash privacy berm that separates our home and the personal gardens from the nursery. So we kind of say that the berm on the nursery side, we would love for you to, when you come visit us, to come and walk and look and take pictures and get inspired. On the house side, that is what these videos are for, and you can kind of peer over the fence, but don't go on the other side of the fence. Brenda gets a little protective of her home territory. Everything is looking great. So when we planted this berm, it was the intention to have 4 seasons of interest. And so we have trees and shrubs and perennials and annuals in these beds. And I say that these beds are sisters. They are not identical twins. So they are not planted the exact same on each side, because we just have a lot of fun incorporating and implementing these plants into this space. Now, I tried to get out here early this morning. The sun actually beat me a little bit. We got rain last night, had a great thunderstorm came through. So just know that some of the stuff is a little wet and a little water laden, but so then it was cloudy this morning and I thought, oh, I have more time. And then you know what happens. All of a sudden the sun pops up. And so half of the bed right now is in morning shade and then the rest is in sun. But this definitely is considered a full sun garden here in North Carolina, Zone 7B. We have had, just to give you a little preface on some of the infrastructure so that you get a real feel for what this space is like, in the fact of we have had this on, it does have irrigation in it, as far as the bones have always been here, but we did not get the irrigation installed and turned on until earlier this week. So everything you see has really been doing great as far as I'm concerned, because it has not had consistent water. And so that I attribute its success to putting the right plants in the right spaces, and knowing when to water and when to plant these plants. So remember, the trees and some of the shrubs, the vast majority of the shrubs went in late fall, early winter. And then the perennials and the annuals came in this spring. So we're gonna start at the top, and then we're just gonna work our way around the berm. Talking about putting the right plants in the right spot, here up at the top of the beds, the berm on both sides, this is definitely the hottest, driest spot of the whole space, because it gets intense hot afternoon sun, and it's on top of the hill. It's kind of hard to see in video, but we have a really nice grade here where we have, of course, the top of the berm is the tallest, and then everything goes down because the creek is down there, and so it all flows that direction. So what we have in here are sedums. We have Russian sage. That is just, oh my gosh. Even though we got some rain and the plants are wet, I don't know if you can see, the little honeybees are already out this morning foraging on the plants. So the Russian sage, this is Dittman lace, is doing just really nicely. You can see some in the back because of the rain. They were so heavy laden that they're laying down a little bit. We'll see if they pop up. If not, we'll just come in and clip some and have some really pretty flowers. Then coming back over here, we've got some Agastaki. This is the meant to be, it is the pink one and the brain. Oh, here we go. See, this is why I do this, is because I know my brain can't remember it. Oh, Royal Raspberry. So Royal Raspberry is here doing pretty well. It's got those beautiful pink blooms. And then of course we've got the Echinacea. This is the Raspberry Beret. So the Raspberry Beret is that beautiful double bloom, just really nice. You can see that those are some of the older blooms right there. And then if you look over here, here is a newer bloom, but just really nice double echinacea. and just really doing great. And then of course we've got phlox right here. This is the opening act. This is actually its second flush. It was blooming, we pruned it back, and it is flushing again. So this corner is turning out to be a little bit of the pink corner up here. And then we're trying out, this is brand new from our friends at Walter's Gardens. Never done this before. And this is the Crowning Glory Purple Rain. This is a eucalyptus, and they are they're hanging in there. So the great thing is that this one has got a lot of beautiful new growth on it, and so we'll see how they do. This could be a perennial that maybe I don't see its full potential until next year, but of course I will keep you updated on that as well. We have in here the String Theory Amsonia, so you'll notice it is in a couple of different places. Early beautiful spring bloomer, but here in the summer and the rest of the season it gives me great texture, and then in the fall it will give me gorgeous bright yellow fall interest as well. I have got 3 of the Quickfire Fab panicle hydrangeas in here. You can see after the rain last night, they're a little, this one especially is a little heavy with water, so she's a little floppy this morning. That will come with age. As I prune her, her stems will get stronger and be more upright. But this is one of the earliest blooming panicle hydrangeas, and it's just really nice. So I have 3 on this side, and then we also have 3 on the other side as well. The Niagara Falls grass is doing quite lovely. This is a lovely bluegrass that will get to be a 4x4. Again, being in not even for 6 months, I'm quite happy with how they are doing. And we have on this side of the berm, we have them that basically I think 3 sections that go down the berm, so that kind of ties everything in. All right, let me flip around here to the front. The pine is doing quite nicely. For it not to be on irrigation this year, you know, ever since we put it in, it is a quite lovely pine, and so much fun. Gives me some fun interest and texture here to it. Look at that. Isn't that fun? Great. It is, like I said, pine, so it has that a little bit of a pokey needle habit to it, but this will get wider than it is tall. And then of course these beautiful variegated grasses, these are from Southern Living. They were kind enough to send us these back in the early spring, late winter. This is Platinum Beauty. So Platinum Beauty, if you can find that, go ahead and grab that. I see a weed. Yep, I missed that one. Missed that one for sure when I was in here weeding. But then we come on down, give you a full perspective here. This is the new Artemisia, and this is silver lining, so it's going to be more wide than it is tall. Really great for the front of the border. It is looking rough because of not being on irrigation, and it went through a little drought. It will perk back up now that it has been freshly mulched and has irrigation on it. But this is great because it does not root as it goes out. So a lot of people don't like Artemisia. It is obviously a perennial for us, but it brings a lot of beautiful color and contrast. We've got the Beyond Pink Caryopteris. We've got 3 of those that are, of course, beautiful, fantastic pink bloomers in the late summer, early fall. So those will be great. And then the Sunjoy Neos. So I have 2, 1, 2. There was one right here in this little corner that I lost. That is the only plant that I have lost in this entire bed. So I figure, hey, we are doing okay if we only lost one. Just to give you an idea as a perspective here as we go down, we've got, of course, the Holy Grail, Summerific Holy Grail hibiscus. They too are repeated on both sides of the berm. Echinacea in here. This is the Fuchsia is Bright. It is, probably could do a little deadheading on some of these, but we'll leave them because the birds really do enjoy those seed heads. But it is a beautiful single bloom. Fuchsia is Bright. Obviously a nice pink Echinacea. These will just get bigger as the seasons and the years go past. Vino Verde, I do enjoy this plant. This is a deciduous shrub. It is a weigilla, and so just so much fun with its different bicolor, variegated, however you want to call it, leaves on it. Is just gorgeous. So then we have daylilies. That is blood, sweat, and tears that's running through there. They are past their bloom time, but a really nice kind of a raspberry reddish color to them, so it all works out quite nicely. Notice two more of the Niagara Falls grasses. The echinacea continues and then bleeds on down in here to the Monarda. This is the raspberry. All these names are starting to go out of my brain. So it is the raspberry Monarda. That is a great bee balm. It is a shorter variety, and they too like consistent water. So for them not to be on irrigation, I know this one on the end is looking a little rough. It will perk back up because it's got new growth on it, but putting that irrigation in here makes a huge difference. And that's what I was in here weeding this whole bed, and my mama was helping me there towards the end, and I said I really am impressed with how really everything has done really nicely. But we are entering the hottest part of the year, and we cannot count on consistent rain. So last night's rain was the first rain we've gotten in 2 weeks maybe, and when I was weeding, this bed was incredibly dry. So I knew if we didn't get the irrigation laid down and this nice thick layer of mulch, this is the compost blend that we use, that I could lose more plants and that they would just really struggle. So now that they're back on irrigation, or rather on irrigation, and have that mulch, they will do great. As far as me running that irrigation, I'm thinking it'll be like once a week for maybe an hour. So I just really nice, deep watering, and then let it dry out so those roots grow and develop. So that's kind of the plan for these beds. Then the honeysuckle, you can see that climbing the fence right there. This is the Sensation honeysuckle from Proven Winners. It is a very vigorous climber, but I've noticed that I really have to I have to tie it down, because if I don't tie it, like, it won't just naturally go up and cling to things. So that is just one thing about it that I wouldn't say is problematic, but it's kind of pesky, because you have to really get in here and like kind of train it where to go. So even like these over here, you can see, I just thought they would kind of grab onto the fence and go for it. And they're not, but that's all right. So there you go. So we've got another one down further, and then the chartreuse on the loose. This is a new Nepeta from our friends at Walter's Gardens. Just a gorgeous pop of color. Lovely, nice, kind of a light purple, if you want to call it a blue flower on it, and typically they are covered in your pollinators. The sweet bees just absolutely love this. Sweet Talker Viburnum right here. This one took a massive hit. There's two on each side of the purple plum. They took a massive, huge hit with the Arctic blast. I mean, they completely defoliated. This is an evergreen viburnum. Does beautiful red fall color into the winter. Does really sweet little pink flowers in late winter, and this one will get tall. Like, it will get nice and big. So we don't plant a ton of those, but it gives you a nice vertical interest. But for it to completely defoliate this winter and then it looks as good as it does now, super impressed with that. Little lime punches. Little lime punch, we have 3 on each side of the purple plum here. There are other 2 going down. So I have one that's blooming and then the other 2 are not. They'll catch up, it's all right. Doing really nicely. The Daisy May, Shasta Daisy in here. Again, it had a gorgeous flush on it. We trimmed it back all the way back to probably about, I don't know, maybe 10 inches tall, and it has flushed out again. So we have nice rows of those right there beside the hydrangeas. And then Pugster Pinker, a huge mass planting of Pugster Pinker here in front of the plum tree, really doing great. It was interesting because this particular butterfly bush right here, this Pugster Pinker, that winter, that Arctic blast, I mean, I thought it was dead. Everybody else did really well, which I was very impressed with. This one was pathetic. And I was gonna come in here and switch it out, and my mom was like, oh, just leave it, it'll be fine. And so I was like, okay, so I left it. Look at that. You would never know that this one was basically down to the ground, and then look at the other ones, basically all the same size. But I love this Pugster Pinker. It might be my favorite Pugster of the series because look at those beautiful blooms on that. Nice and fat and huge. You can come in here and deadhead this if you want to. I had done it a little bit just to kind of clean up the plant, and of course it helps encourage new blooms because they do bloom on new growth as well. And then we have the orange pillars, more barberries in here. I think now that we've got it on irrigation, they will do even better. These are more going to be columnar and instead of wide, right? So orange pillar, barberry from our friends at Proven Winners, just beautiful. I mean, look at that color. Love it. So yes, I did mix orange and pink together underneath the purple plum. The purple plum got hit by Japanese beetles, so we're gonna have to keep that in mind in the future. So what you see, that damage right there, that is, yeah, that's Japanese beetle damage to it. Will not kill the tree, but it certainly is not thick and lush like it had been. The other of the Sweet Talker viburnum, you can see a very, very happy plant right there for sure. And then we coming down, we've got the other honeysuckle, we've got Baptisia starting in the back, and then we have got the Niagara Falls yet again. So you'll notice that I kind of put the Baptisia, was tucking it in there behind that Niagara Falls, and then more of the Baptisia back there in the back. Now, why did I put the Baptisia in the back? Because the grasses are gonna overtake those. Well, keep in mind, right, your bloom time and when do the grasses really start to take off. So your bloom time on your Baptisia is early spring. The grasses like it hot. So with grasses, you're gonna cut them down to the ground in late winter going into early spring. So while the Baptisia are gonna be nice and thick and full and loaded with flowers, the grasses are gonna be short because they're just coming out of their dormancy. So then once the grasses are nice and big and full, then by that time, the Baptisia are done blooming. So it's okay because planning your bloom time, it kind of hides the fact that the grasses are gone because all you're looking at are those gorgeous Baptisia. And that is, it is a beautiful blue. It's a new one from, I'll have to put it up there. I think it's like something popsicle. Periwinkle popsicle, something like that. We'll put it up there. Have not seen it bloom yet, but all of those Baptisias from Proven Winners, they're rock solid and are gorgeous. With your Baptisias, plant them where you want them because once they are established, they have a really deep taproot and they do not transplant well. So make sure that you're gonna put it in a spot that you want it to keep because like I said, after they've been there for a while, they're not gonna transplant very well at all. And remember I told you we had more of the string theory Amsonia. So here we go. Brought down the rest of those down here. So in the spring, we'll have a huge, beautiful display right here. And then remember, we'll have a display up there. So it kind of ties the bed all in together. I think my favorite Agastache is the Queen Nectarine because it is just a rock star performer. I mean, just doing great. I've got a section of 3 right here. That is the thing that I have learned is when you have a big spaces, excuse me, is to plant them in multiples. And so it really stands out, but just a beautiful nectarine peach kind of color that the pollinators love. This loves the sun. And then we're coming down to more echinacea. This is one in a melon. Now, this poor little guy right here, struggle bus. I mean, these two, I don't know if they were just smaller plants, what the deal is, but we're just gonna let them be and we're just gonna let them grow. But you can see down here, I have a beautiful one, 2 more of the Queen Nectarine, bringing those down. But look at this. Now, again, this is not the absolute perfect flower, but it gives you an idea of what they're gonna look like when the whole plant is rocking. I currently have these in the backyard and they are rocking and absolutely gorgeous, and they will get nice and tall, but huge flowers on them, huge. And then of course we repeat more of the Holy Grail hibiscus. These things are just great because they have that dark foliage. And then let's see if I can come show you that big, beautiful red bloom on that. I mean, huge. These are those dinner plate size hibiscus that are just massive, and they will, the more water you give them, the bigger they will grow and the longer that they will bloom. So the summerific Holy Grail is repeated, like I said, on both sides. So if you're getting the whole perspective, I have a group of 3 down towards the bottom, and then on the other side of the berm we have 3 that run along dead center, and then again 3 more up at the top. So kind of gives you an idea. One plant that I have been massively impressed with, massive, because this was an experiment. I have never done a smoke bush before, and I was really kind of like leery if it could handle our hot sun. This is Winecraft Gold, and oh my stars. Okay, so take a view back, right? Those summerifics, dark foliage, beautiful red flowers, and then you come in to the Winecraft Gold and it is rocking. It is loving life so much. It's fun too because of the color, obviously, but the new foliage has a little bit of twinge of red in there with it, and so it plays really nicely with those hibiscus. But like I said, could not be more impressed with this plant. It has, I would say, probably tripled in size this year and is just doing so phenomenally well. I just could not be happier with this. So this is definitely one that we are going to be exploring and adding to our inventory, and you're going to see more of these in our future for sure. Coming back down here at the end of the berm, we've got some more of the eucalyptus. This is Princess Bride. And so Princess Bride, she's, you know, again, hanging in. I think this is gonna be one that's really gonna kind of show off once we get another season into it. So there you go. And then I have a ribbon of more daylilies. This is Blazing Glory that comes on down through here, and that's more of an orange daylily. And of course, the North Pole arbs are right here. These will give us a nice solid screen. They will grow together. They only, as far as height wise, I'm going to say, or let's see if we can get a better angle as far as the sun goes. They're going to be like somewhere in that 10-foot range, but not super wide. And for, again, not being on irrigation, very happy, but we planted these late fall, early winter, and they're rocking and doing great. Another plant that really impressed with is the butter pecan echinacea. And the butter pecan is kind of the counterpart to the echinacea that I showed you up top, in the fact of that it is a double bloom. Nice stocky plant that you can see is just absolutely loaded with flowers. Loaded. So loving this, and it is doing great. If you wanted to come in and deadhead, you certainly could. I'm just kind of letting them go this year and then just enjoying them. All right, now, so that gives you the perspective of the berm. So on this side, the nursery side, as we say, I just can't imagine what this space is going to look like in, gosh, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years from now. I mean, it's not even been in the ground for 1 year yet, and we're already looking like this. So I am so stinking happy with how this place is developing, and these gardens have just grown and thrived. This gives you an idea of the house side of the berm, the whole big kind of picture right here of this space. We've talked about, we've been on this side of the berm many times because this has more of our annuals in here, and so you've been there with me as I have planted and maintained these. So on this side we have the golden Oakland holly that will eventually get nice and tall and wide. So in the meantime, while I'm waiting on it to grow and mature, I went ahead and filled it in with some annuals right here. So in the back we have the Wicked Witch coleus, one of my favorite coleuses because it is just amazing and the color is just beautiful. I thought with the color contrast against that holly was very nice, but notice that I gave it plenty of room behind the holly so that the coleus was not right here crowding it, because I want the holly, of course, to grow out, and I don't want it to be blocked by the sun with any of that color blaze. Coleus. This coleus can do sun or shade. That's what I love. The coleus is just so amazing. Then we have the Sun Patience, the compact deep purple. Clearly we have a rogue plant in there. Somehow we've had this little bit of an issue this year where these plants, I don't know. Anyway, we have an anomaly here. So there you go. But it's fine. I'm not going to pull it out. And then as we go up, of course, the Cleome. This is Senorita Blanca. We have 3 groups of that has just, I mean, surpassed all expectations on how it's performing. And these were gallon-sized containers when I put them in, and they were sad. I'm not gonna lie. They looked pitiful, but clearly they love being here. And so they are very, very happy here in this location. Pufferfish panicle hydrangea. I have 3 little blooms. Well, they're not necessarily little, but I have 3 blooms on it right now. Hopefully we will get some more. I do see some more buds, but nice, big, huge panicle hydrangea. This is new this year. Tons of water in these guys, tons of water. So they will pop up, but I do see more buds. So we've got buds all on the top here. So this will flush out. Again, I tell people all the time, remember there is that saying in the horticultural world is that with your, especially like your shrubs and your perennials, it is the first year they sleep. I joke, and I'm not really joking, but I say my goal is keep them alive, right? First year, keep them alive. They sleep. The second year, they creep. So they're showing, they're improving, right? And then the third year, they leap. So you really got to give these plants, especially your perennials and your shrubs, obviously your trees, at least a good 3 years before you see like really them reaching their potential. Gardening teaches you patience, so you got to be patient, and it's okay. Enjoy the process, my friends. Enjoy the process. Some other plants that I've been really pleased with, we have 3 of the October Magic Ruby camellias here. So there's 2 right here. And then you remember, I went ahead and planted, this is a clematis. This is the Hudson River clematis from our friends at Brushwood Nursery. I never thought to use a clematis as a ground cover, but the owner was so sweet to send these to me, and it was at his suggestion that I did this, and I love it. Again, first year doing this, they have done great, continuous bloomers. Now I see a poplar tree. Good grief, y'all. You see that little poplar tree, that little sapling right there growing in the middle of it? Obviously, we need to get in there and pull that out because I don't want poplar trees growing in this bed. But this little section right here is doing quite nicely. And then do you remember when I transplanted this butterfly bush, right? This was the Pink Cascade 2. This is from our friends at Walter's Gardens. When I transplanted it, y'all were like, what are you doing? Because it hit a massive shock. I mean, it was mad at me. But little knowledge, y'all, you got to trust the process, because look how it is covered in so many buds. It is about to explode in color. And then the Cascade series from Walters produce massive blooms. So this is still growing, and it is way larger than my hand. But the Pink Cascade 2, I do have one that is just beginning to crack color, is a lovely soft baby doll pink. So really excited about this. Now, using this Cleome, this was, again, I have empty space while I am waiting for my shrubs and my perennials to grow in. So that's where I use those annuals, right? So big groups. So next year, knowing how well this butterfly bush is going to do, maybe I do add Cleome or something, but I won't add nearly as many. Maybe I just add 3. And so basically from here over, there won't be anything, and I can have plants from here that way. Because again, when you have them this close to each other, of course the Cleome is preventing the sunlight to get to the butterfly bush. But for this season, it will be okay. The butterfly bush, of course, does bloom on new growth, so I will prune it back in late winter and all will be well. But yeah, loving how this corner is doing. And then of course you are very familiar with Jerry's infamous design plan of this area. It was his vision to put all of these annuals here, and it has been such a fun joy to watch this area grow and develop. We can see this very clearly from the front of our house. Of course we have Supertunia Vista Jazzberry along with Supertunia Vista Snowdrift. They are all mingling together. Now keep in mind we had a good thunderstorm last night, so they're a little smushed down right now as far as the petunias go. They'll bounce back, no problem. We've got Yoshino cherry trees that are going to give us gorgeous spring color. We've got 2 of those, and then of course the Sprinter boxwoods we have growing that are going to give us structure. So right now, yes, we need to come in here and you can see that we need to trim back the petunias so that the boxwoods get lots of good light in there. We've done it on a couple of them. We just didn't do this row yet. And then here in the center, we have the new Supertunia Mini Vista Yellow with Supertunia Mini Vista White in the front. Those holy grails coming along the front. The back of the bed, right? And then those will just get nice and big. When we put the irrigation in, we did double wrap them so that they will get lots of good water and grow nice and big. So repeated up here so it gives some balance to the bed. And then we come up here to this last pocket at the top of the berm where again this is really intense sun and is a drier area. So we've talked about a lot of these plants we've repeated, and so like the Russian sage that was on the other side do have the Boom Chocolata geranium. And the Boom Chocolata is interesting because it's short and tall all at the same time. So your main foliage is rather short, but then when it blooms, it brings up these beautiful stalks and is very kind of upright. Most of your perennial geraniums are more like a ground cover, but Boom Chocolata does have those upright blooms. So you can see a progression here. So blooms, had been blooming, and then is not yet blooming. So you can see where it's nice and kind of a beautiful mound. Here you will see the luminary ultraviolet phlox. It is on the end of its bloom cycle, but that ultraviolet truly, I mean, it lives up to its name in the fact of it is just the hottest pink, magenta, purple. I wouldn't really call it purple, but it is just really a bright, beautiful color to it. And then I've been really impressed with this Stellar Ruby Magnolia because, again, not being on irrigation, but this sweet thing, also known as a banana shrub, because when it blooms in the spring, the flowers on it are a ruby color and they smell just like ripe bananas. But all that new growth, I mean, tons of new growth. So this will be like a small tree or a large shrub, however you want to look at it. So happy with that. And then of course we have more of the Quickfire Fab hydrangeas that we have on the other side. So again, we have 3. So 1, 2, and then 3. So they are growing and doing just lovely. And then repeated the phlox. This is the opening act ultra pink that we have on the other side. So again, that just kind of repeats and you see those same plants on both sides, but again, not identical twins, they are sisters. So another perennial that we all have been like super impressed with is this Heliopsis. So Heliopsis, right? Sunflower family. So this is a perennial. This is the Tuscan Gold. And y'all, when we got it from Walters, it was blooming and it has not stopped all summer long, y'all, all summer long. And it is like, this is one plant right here. Beautiful. Pollinators love it. Absolute continuous bloomers. So when we planted them as a group, again, I wanted to plant them in a mass group. So when you have this big flower bed that we have and you need a big bold statement, plant them in groups. So whether it's when I say a group, it could be a group of 2, it could be a group of 3, it could be a group of 30. It just depends on your space and how many plants are available to you, and of course obviously your budget, right? So but planting them all together right here is just gorgeous. Now this is one of those plants that I know what it's going to be, and so I am holding on to the vision, is the Nephophia. So this is Rocket's Red Glare, and we have like 10 of them in here. Now I am fully aware that these look sad. They are struggling, and that is because of the lack of water. These will do better when you give them more water. They do better. So the Nothothia, or red hot poker, is a wonderful, beautiful interest plant in that it's very upright. You can see that this, basically I would call this a bud, not even a full flower yet, because it only has just a couple of the blooms opening. Will make a huge impact. So now that we have this on irrigation, imagine, right, that uprightness, that green grass-like look to it with those red flowers right here against that Tuscan gold. Oh my goodness. And the Nothothias do tend to be longer bloomers. So they do tend to bloom once they start blooming. They seem to bloom throughout the season, and of course, repeating again, that Niagara Falls grass right there. So keeping that theme going. And then we have the Rock and Grow Midnight Velvet Sedum. Perennial sedum. It is just beginning to put on some of its buds. So this will open up and be a beautiful, beautiful color with that nice dark foliage. And we have those kind of in mass together as well. And then we have another sedum. This is from our friends at Walter's Gardens. And then of course, when the kids were putting down the mulch, they took away or hid my my plant tags. So I'm trying to remember. I don't know if it was on this one or not. I'll have to find the name for you. But it was something yellow, obviously, right? Because it's a very nice, short, beautiful green with those bright yellow flowers on it, and just absolutely the cutest little sedum you ever did see. And then it pairs just so nicely with everything else in this flower bed. Again, I know I've said this like probably 100 times in this video. Could not really be happier with how this whole entire flower bed is doing. Not to be on irrigation up until the middle of July. We have run it one time since we got it installed earlier this week, and to only have lost one plant in that time, I will take that every single day of the week. And oh my gosh, it is just so much fun to, one, plan this space and then implement it and just watch it grow and develop. I cannot wait to like fast forward. Like, I don't want to wish time away, but to see what it's going to look like in 3 years, that just makes me so excited. That is what I do love about gardening, is having some type of vision in your head and then making it happen and bringing it to reality and watching it grow and develop. Such an absolute fun process. Is it a lot of work? Absolutely. I was out here on Monday, and because we had some cloud coverage, and I spent the entire day weeding the other side of the berm. And even if it's cloudy in North Carolina in July, if you know, you know. Like, I was drenched in sweat, but it looked amazing when I got done. We turned around like within the next day or two, got the irrigation down, got it mulched, and so satisfying to do that. But yeah, it is a lot of work. I mean, you're out here working your little hiney off, but it doesn't matter. Like, whatever your space is, right? You put things into your space that bring you joy, that bring you pleasure, that when you look at it, it brings you joy. So that is what gardening is about, right? Having that vision and then making it come to fruition. Whether that vision is with a container, a hay rack, or some massive project like this that is just, yeah, it was a big one. So again, really fun. I hope you have found this fun, informative, and inspirational. If you're not yet a subscriber to Gardening with Creekside, we would love to have you join our family, because the analytics show us that most viewers have not yet subscribed to the channel. So please hit that subscribe button, turn on your little bell for your notifications. That way, as we put out new videos, you will be notified. And as always, we so appreciate you. Thank you for Gardening with Creekside. Y'all have a great day. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.